Creative intervention. That is what happens when somebody looks at an old problem and refuses to bring it the same tired answer. And in St. Louis, we need that kind of courage because there are issues in our communities that cannot be solved with speeches alone. Mental health, depression, poverty, disconnection, hopelessness, young people trying to figure out who they are, what they carry, and whether anybody really sees them. And sometimes the traditional approach does not reach them. Sometimes the program is too formal. The room feels too unfamiliar. The language feels too far away. So creative intervention asks a different question. Not just, what do we need to teach, but how do we get close enough for the teaching to matter? And that is what makes this work powerful. Because who would have thought that a game like Cornhole could become a bridge, a board, a bag, a little competition, a little laughter? And suddenly, young men who might not sit down for a lecture are standing close enough for a conversation. Close enough to talk about pressure, close enough to talk about pain, close enough to talk about business, discipline, choices, healing, and what it means to see a future beyond the block. That is not just play, that is purpose. That is not just a game, that is access. And St. Louis has always had that kind of creativity bottled up inside it. Creativity that knows how to make something out of little. Creativity that knows how to turn passion into a pathway. Creativity that understands transformation does not always start with something big. Sometimes it starts with something unexpected. That is the St. Louis I believe in. A city where people are not just waiting on permission, they are finding new ways to reach who needs to be reached. New ways to heal what needs to be healed. New ways to build what needs to be built. Because if we are going to transform this city, we cannot be afraid to do something different. We cannot be afraid to bring purpose into places nobody expected. We cannot be afraid to use what we love as a way to serve who we love. That is the St. Louis worth telling stories about. That is the St. Louis we are here to document. And today's guests are an embodiment of that kind of creative intervention. Today on STL Hustle Insider, we sit down with the brothers using the game of Cornhole to reach young people, open real conversations, and create impact in the community.
Welcome to STL Hustle Insider, the podcast highlighting the people, businesses, and movements building the city from the inside out. Hosted by Cortez Hustle, each episode brings you real conversations, local insight, and the kind of stories that remind us why St. Louis keeps pushing forward. From the neighborhoods to the boardrooms, from the creatives to the community builders, this is where St. Louis stories get the spotlight. So lock in, tap in, and get ready. This is more than a podcast. This is STL Hustle Insider, and it starts now.
Before we bring in today's guest, it's time to go inside STL Black History. This Inside STL Black History moment is powered by iHustle Media Group, supporting the stories, history, and people building St. Louis. Today, we're going back to 1875. At a time when black education was still being fought for across the country, St. Louis became home to a school that would make history. It opened as a high school for African American students, and it became a foundation for black education, leadership, creativity, and achievement in the city. This institution helped shape generations. It produced educators, artists, athletes, leaders, and culture makers whose impact reached far beyond the classroom. And its legacy reminds us that education has never just been about books. For black communities, education has also been about dignity, access, opportunity, and the right to imagine a bigger future. So here's today's Inside STL Black History Trivia question. What is the name of the St. Louis school widely recognized as the first high school for African Americans west of the Mississippi River? Don't Google it, don't cheat. Stick around because we'll reveal the answer at the end of the show. Now let's get into today's conversation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to STL Hustle Spotlight. I've got a unique individual doing some unique things, and I want him to talk about it. I'm sitting here with Jay McDaniels, and his brand is Cornhole with Smooth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Brothers don't do cornhole, man. What's up with that?
Hey, they don't, but they will now.
All right.
They will now.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So talk us through this whole cornhole thing. Where did it all start for you? I know in your youth, you was more traditional African-American male, football, basketball, track, but something happened where you started tossing beanbags.
Yeah, man, like you said, man, growing up in Walnut Park, man, all we did is play basketball, football, ran me
Yep.
down the street. So I went to Morris Brown on a track scholarship.
Okay.
So I always was into the traditional sports.
Yep.
But, during COVID, we
Mhm.
couldn't go outside. And I'm over in Illinois now. Me and my wife live in Charlotte. And they
Okay.
was having a cornhole tournament
Mhm.
outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to get outside. I got to do something, right? I got to do something. And I walked. It was a bar probably about 5 minutes away from my house.
Okay.
And I went in there with some older guys playing outside.
Mhm.
And they was like, come on over and play. I was like, oh, no, man. I seen how they was playing. They was like getting all the bags on the board and the hole. And
Yeah.
I'm not that type of player. So I played in the backyards and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
They said, come on and play with us. Come on and play. So I went and played. I made a couple bags in the hole.
Okay.
And those guys was like, you're pretty good. I'm like, really? They was like, yeah, let's keep playing. So they would have a tournament every Tuesday outside. Of course, we can go outside because it was, we were still doing COVID. We didn't have to have masks on outside.
Sure.
So so we was out there playing like every Tuesday. I kept on going back. And about 6 weeks later, after that, they invited me to their league.
Okay.
And I started playing with one of the other guys who was actually training me to play.
Gotcha.
So that's how I started. That's how I got into it.
Man, that during COVID, the only way to go outside was to play some cornhole.
Play some cornhole, walk up and down the street by yourself.
Gotcha. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit because this is a spotlight. We're definitely going to have you come back and get the full history of who Jay McDaniels is. But I want you to talk really about the brand and why you felt the need to introduce this particular sport to the inner city.
So the brand again is Cornhole with Smooth LLC podcast and brand.
Okay.
I was always a basketball coach, referee, and I grew up in Walnut Park, like I said, the inner city.
Right.
And I wanted to, show our kids in our inner cities that it's other things to do besides the traditional sports.
Gotcha.
And this game is 75% mental and 25% physical.
Okay.
So anybody can play. So
gotcha.
I wanted to give the kids who are at Spirit Week during the week that don't have on a jersey and other kids walking around representing football, basketball, something to give them that they can walk around school with their cornhole jerseys on and give them something else to do. And plus, this game is starting to give out scholarships to other, individuals that play this sport. So I wanted to give them the opportunity to learn something different. And I just have a heart for the youth and just for my city and the inner city in general, just community. I'm just a community guy all around.
Man, listen, I knew cornhole was serious when I'm surfing and I see must have been cornhole championships or something on ESPN too. I'm like, man, this is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
So now you're talking about colleges are fielding teams, and if they're fielding teams, that means they're getting money, so they need players, so they're offering scholarships.
That's right.
How difficult is it to get a college scholarship for this particular sport?
I don't think it's as difficult as people think. I think once you put your mind to something and you practice every day, these kids can do it. With how these kids are nowadays, they master almost everything. With the technology we have, they can go look up some stuff and study things and see how your releases, your throws, what kind of bags you want to throw, and get out there in the competition. It's tournaments almost every day in the St. Louis metro area.
Gotcha.
They can go play every day. And there's kids right now between 10 and 14 are becoming pros at this game. So.
Wow. And I imagine just looking at the sport, sure, there is some physical aspect to it, but it's not like a football, a basketball, where in most cases, your strategic advantage is your athleticism, your speed, your strength, your power, that kind of thing. But that's not necessarily true in this game.
That's right. So it's like, again, I told you before, it's 75% mental and it's strategy, communication, and understanding, who you are as a player, because really you're playing, it's more of a single game anyway, because if you understand your game, you play your game, you don't play the other person's game.
Gotcha.
So it's more of a mental game than anything. And I think anybody can play it.
Sure.
Anybody can play, anybody can win.
Gotcha.
I
love it. So talk to me about what you're doing with the youth throughout the St. Louis metro area, not just with the game of cornhole, but you guys are really big on helping young people understand purpose, help them understand walking in purpose, help them uncover passions, and really helping them to be stand-up young men and women at an early age. Why is that so important to you?
It's so important to me because I understand the struggle, and I think growing up, we had the older guys and older women, grandmas and people on your street that disciplined us and told us what's right and what's wrong. I think nowadays it's missing a lot. So
Yeah.
I feel like if we get out here and try to teach the youth, we may touch one, that one may touch 10.
Yep.
So I think it's important for us, like meeting my guys from Smooth 1432, who was already at Job Corps doing their mental health stuff. We teamed together to, actually form Smooth 1432
Gotcha.
Youth and Men's Group, where we go back into like Job Corps. And now with the Cornhole with Smooth Youth Academy, I have 6 schools that will be in this fall.
Nice. Congrats.
Teaching the game of cornhole. Whoever thought,
Yeah.
like I said, we talked about purpose earlier. I figured out that was my purpose in life, to give back. But I found the sport of cornhole is just a conversation starter.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, tell everybody how to connect with Cornhole Smooth. Smooth. What is it? 14?
Smooth 1432.
1432.
Yes.
Your academy. Give out all your handles, and I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with you. If you are a young person looking for something different to do, if you are in charge of young people, whether you're talking a youth group at your church, whether you're talking about after-school programs at the school, this is the guy you need to be connecting to. So he's going to tell you how to get connected with him.
You can contact me at cornholewithsmooth@gmail.com. You can follow me on Facebook at Cornhole with Smooth, Instagram Cornhole with Smooth Podcast, TikTok Cornhole with Smooth, and Facebook Cornhole with Smooth. So in Smooth 1432, which is our youth and men's group, you can follow us on Instagram right now and also on YouTube. And like, Cortez said, you can't spell STL without the hustle. So you got Cortez Hustle right here, man.
Yes, sir.
Shouts out
Yes,
to him
sir.
too, man. Shouts out to him also.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is another STL Hustle Insider brought to you by STL VLC, which is the Virtual Resource Center, where you can get all of the resources that you need to grow your business as an entrepreneur. All you got to do is go to the link in the show notes and the description to learn more about that. But St. Louis is a top city in the country for entrepreneurship because of its resources. But the problem is the resources are all over the place. So STL VLC decided to aggregate all of those resources in one place. So now all you got to do is go there to get them. Jay, it's been a pleasure. Now I want to talk to your guys with Smooth 1432 about everything else you guys got going on. So y'all don't go nowhere, man. Keep it locked right here.
Man, appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.
There is a difference between owning protection and being prepared. Preparation starts with education. At Relentless Defensive Firearm Academy, responsible citizens learn the principles that matter most: safety, law, responsibility, and confidence. From firearm safety education to Missouri CCW classes, Relentless helps you train the right way with professional, judgment-free instruction. Whether you are brand new or ready to sharpen your skills, you do not have to figure it out alone. Protecting yourself and protecting your family should never be based on guesswork. Visit relentlessstl.com or call 314-314-8485 to learn more. Relentless Defensive Firearm Academy. Protect yourself. Protect your family.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another STL Hustle Insider and another young man that I've come to know and respect based on the work that he's doing as a profession. So I'm going to have Josh tell you a little bit more about who he is. But when it comes to helping young people navigate this sometimes treacherous world, and not just the external world, but the internal world, Josh is the man to talk to. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Josh, and your practice.
Okay, so Josh Gilliam. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I am the owner of Vertical Therapy LLC. And so, in my practice, I work with a plethora of people, right? My heart is really to work with men to help us through the mental struggles that come from either like loss, regular life, development, and things of that nature. So that's a little bit about Vertical Therapy LLC. We are here and we're ready to work, really.
So let's talk a little bit about that, man. And I'm gonna make sure everybody gets your contact information. But what do you say to people who, especially men, who feel it's hard to get a brother to go to the doctor when his leg is falling off?
Yeah.
But now you want me to go and see and talk to somebody if I'm just scarred emotionally. What do you say to people who have that kind of feeling and are a little apprehensive about trusting their business to a counselor or therapist?
So, I think a lot of times, us as men in in the world, right, we don't have safe spaces, right? We don't have a place where we can even talk through ideas that we've had. We don't have a place where we can talk through trauma and things of that nature. Hence the reason why Vertical Therapy LLC exists. Hence the reason why Black counselors exist, right? I'm one of many, right? Just like my brother Etoya White. He does we do a lot of work with our men. And so, like, again, I just want to say, like, you know, as a therapist, one of the things that we do talk about the deep, dark things that you can't say out loud, that you can't tell your spouse, that you can't tell your brother, you can't tell your sister, you can't tell your mom, you can't tell your grandpa, right? We really, really do. And the other part of this is, from our license, we are forced to we're forced confidentiality, right? Like, we cannot just come out here just talking about your stuff like it's gossip, right? Just because, again, our license will be on the line at that point, right? And so, like, for any man listening to this, you know, I just want you to think about that. You know, I like to say this, like, I like to say, what happens in Fight Club stays in Fight Club, right? What happens in therapy stays in therapy. And it's not just based on my word, it's based on my license. So
I love it. And really, I think another part of that is, I've experienced the implosion for not talking, and it literally almost killed me, right?
Yeah.
So having someone to talk to in confidence is super important. You mentioned some of the work that you are doing with young people. Talk to me about the importance of creating a safe space for them, because sometimes we talk about how resilient kids are. I sometimes believe that's just an excuse for us to not help them deal through their stuff, right? So talk to us about how important it is to create the spaces for those children to learn how to deal with that stuff emotionally, even as well as communicating what they're feeling.
So it's definitely very important. And and one of the reasons why, because, like, you know, for children, there's a lot of things they are working through there. You know, you're going through your developmental stages, right? And when you put trauma on top of that, sometimes trauma can delay that, right? And so, one of the things that, you know, that I'm super passionate about is making sure that they do have their space just to be themselves, right? Because a lot of times you can't tell your parent because of dynamics. You can't tell your parent, hey, you hurt me in this way, right? Because you're afraid of what could possibly
There's
happen
more,
to you.
there could be more consequences, more hurt coming.
Correct. And so, you know, and I think a lot of times, like, you know, when traumatic things happen to us, we don't have the skills to recognize, how should I process this? What does processing this even look like? What is a process? Right. And so, you know, I think one of the things, especially like when we're working with children, we're working with young men, teaching them that there is a process to it. There is a way you can work through it. Your emotions do matter. They do drive you, right? Those are things that are super important. And once we help you through that, you can kind of work a little easier, right?
Gotcha. So you've partnered with Jay Smooth and became part of this Move 1432. Tell us a little bit about that and the work that you guys are doing.
So, you know, again, and I think one of the things that's important, right? We're, you know, Cornhole is the vehicle, right? And we're really, really working with brothers out here, having the conversations, having the mental health conversations, that, again, we can't have anywhere else, right? And Cornhole is such a technical game, right? It's all about precision, right? And so, you know, I think about that as well. Like, when it comes to therapy, it's all about precision.
Gotcha.
Are we working on the thing that really, really, that you really need to work on, that can drive you forward, right? And that's where those two kind of things align, right? It's all about precision. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's how I see
it. Sometimes we have a tendency to dance around the thing instead of addressing
the thing. Correct.
So as a therapist, you help people avoid dancing around the thing and actually address the thing to bring healing. All right, man, I love this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my man, Josh Gilliam. Tell them how they can reach you if they need help, if they have children that need help, if they themselves need help, if they are in charge of young people and they need someone to come in and talk to them. Like, how can they get in touch with you to get your professional services?
So follow me on Instagram, Vertical Therapy LLC. And then 1432, the podcast, and then Smooth 1432 on both handles, Instagram and Facebook. So
all right. So you heard it here first, y'all. This is another STL Hustle Insider. Of course, as always, brought to you by our sponsor, the St. Louis Virtual Resource Center. This is where you get all of the resources that you need as an entrepreneur in the St. Louis metro area in one place. They keep saying that St. Louis is the best place for entrepreneurship because of its resources. Well, now this organization has put them all together in one place. So check the show notes, check the link in the description, and go get access to yours now. Picture this. A customer sees your post, likes what they see, and leaves a comment asking for more information, but you are busy serving customers, answering calls, and running the business. By the time you respond, they have already moved on. The problem was not a lack of attention. The problem was what happened after the attention showed up. That is where Social Lead Web comes in. We connect your content, comments, direct messages, lead capture, CRM, and follow-up so interested customers have a clear next step. Instead of posting and hoping, you build a system designed to turn attention into conversations and leads. Go to ihustlemg.com or check the show notes for complete details. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another STL Hustle Spotlight. This is where we bring to you the people, the businesses, the movements, the organizations shaping St. Louis. And there's nobody shaping St. Louis like an educator. We got my man Earl in the building. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do first and foremost?
Name is Earl, but a lot of kids know me around the community as Coach Docket. Going into my 23rd year in education at Kip Inspired Academy, which is a charter school sponsored by WashU. I'm also the founder of Fly Beyond Limits, which means first love yourself, mentorship, and leadership.
Okay.
And so then I'm also a part of the movement here with Smooth 1432.
Gotcha.
And, our Cornhole Academy community.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about flying beyond limits, man. I think that's dope for someone to be introducing young people to a concept like that. How did that come about?
So Fly Beyond Limits, when you think of the word fly, you think about how you dress, your confidence.
Yep.
But I switched it around and let fly means, again, first love yourself.
Gotcha.
I'm a person who has fought depression before.
Okay.
And so I also know in our community, we have a lot of kids who are fighting mental illness, but nobody's being aware.
Yeah.
So in January of 2025, me and some of our mental health professionals at my school, we started a program called the Breakfast Club.
Okay.
And what we did was we took the data of the kids in the building, young Black males who made up a lot of the suspensions as well as the referrals in the building.
Gotcha.
And we just said, like, what's the way that we can grasp them to try to get those numbers down? Because we know as educators, we have to have the kids stay in the building so that we can be able to make the impact.
That's right. And people are afraid to admit this, and you alluded to it, but our babies are sick, man. You can't grow up in some of the places that they are forced to grow up in and that not affect you. But I think sometimes as adults, we love to say how resilient our children are. And to me, I think that's a cop-out to keep us from actually dealing or getting them the help that they actually need to deal with some of the traumas and some of the issues that they have to deal with. So as an educator, you see it day in and day out, and you're doing something about it. So, I want to commend you on that. But talk us through some of the transformations that you're seeing through your Fly Beyond Limits, but also your Breakfast Club.
So the transformation has been amazing. So like I said, we started off between 85 to 90% of the Black boys in my school made up the suspensions and referrals. Within a year, I was able to change that to now we're to 35%. So it's a 60%, definitely like a decrease in the amount of suspensions and chronic absence, because a lot of the kids, once they're out of school so long, they give up. They say, you know what? Nobody's listening to me. We have to make sure and realize that kids are human. Kids have, I think a lot of times we don't get our kids involved in their own education. We try to tell them what they need instead of listening to what to them to tell us what they need from us.
Gotcha.
And so we know right now reading and math is a huge deficit right now. Kids are, not doing well on tests because of the reading. But we also know that just because kids don't do well on tests doesn't mean they're not smart.
Say it.
Some people just don't test well, especially when it's a timer in front of them.
Yep.
We as parents, we need to also start letting our, not being afraid to get our kids that help. When you think of something called an IEP, which is an individualized education plan, that does not make your kid stupid. It does not mean that they got to ride a small bus. It means that I know my kid needs help, and it may be something to where now with that educational plan, they'll get extra time to finish a test that somebody has to do 30 minutes for. You may get another extra 20 minutes because you process different.
Because it's an individualized plan. And to be honest, we all should be on individualized plans. Mass schooling and the way that schooling is done was created with a very different intention in mind. It was created to create a workforce, not necessarily created to create an intelligent force, right?
Yes.
So I think what you're doing is amazing. You said something earlier today when we were having our men's discussion that sometimes it's the parents, right?
Yes.
And here's what's funny to me. You won't allow your kid to get on the IEP, but you as a parent know the child moved 14 times in 5 years. How you not realize that created some deficit that an IEP could help them with?
Yes.
Talk to the parents about their ability to play a bigger role in the success, not just in them getting educated, but in the success of their child's life through making sure that they learn adequately as they are in their elementary and middle school years.
So parents, I just feel like it's one of those things of being consistent. We're consistently, when we see our daughter, our son, and they're good at a sport, we want to invest in that time to let me get training.
Yep.
What's the same thing at home? If you know that your son or your daughter is not reading well or doing math well, so then it's muscle memory. Hey, you need to read 30 minutes before you go to bed.
Yep.
If you know they're not a great reader, as I was saying earlier, kids want to read to get them going, give them books that they are interested in. They may start off with a magazine.
Yep.
You want them to read those words. Then it goes to we're going to go to another hardback book that may have 50 pages. You want to get them in the process of reading, writing, and doing things daily. Like cursive has going out.
Yep.
Kids don't know how to do their own signature. Everything is print. But again, parents, you can go to the dollar store. They have those cursive books. They have math books. You can invest in your kid. You think about your kid and I think of like a piece of paper. A lot of times when kids come to me, they crumbled up. It's so many things that's happening.
Yeah.
It's my ability to be like, hey, I see you, and it's time to open this page up to make you into something great.
Yeah.
And parents, we just got to be consistent. Like, if you know your kid is into the sports, and I tell this all the time, work with your coaches, because again, a lot of times our coaches play a big part in our children's lives, the parents, because kids are raising kids, meaning our parents are so much younger, the grandparents are so much younger. And so a lot of times kids are spending most of their time in the school with the teacher, or they're spending most of the time with a coach.
With a coach. I love it. So tell everybody how they can get in touch with you with either of the organizations, social handles, websites, whatever you want, because as an educator and a coach, your role in the lives of young people, sometimes it's a thankless job, but most coaches are called to it, so you get more reward out of some of the things that come out of what you're doing. So tell everybody how to get in touch with you in the event that they've got a kid that needs to fly beyond,
So look, you can find me on Instagram. It's Dean Coach Docket. Also Facebook, it's just Earl Docket. And then also, if you would like to email me, it's flybeyondlimits06. And that's the way that you can contact me. Again, this is something that God put on my heart to do. So really, Fly Beyond Limits is really just going to start really taking off in its purpose this school year. So I'm looking forward to working with families, mentoring boys all over Missouri and then further on. But man, I appreciate it.
And if you got a sincere heart and you genuinely want to see young brothers win, then he's got a program that he calls the Breakfast Club, where he brings positive role models in to have solid conversations with those young men. Definitely reach out to Earl. That's going to do it for us here at STL Hustle Spotlight. Remember to check out our sponsor, the St. Louis Virtual Resource Center. If you're an entrepreneur, I know you need resources, and St. Louis has resources, but they're scattered all over the place. So the STL Virtual Resource Center is the one place that you can go to get all of the resources from all of the organizations that support entrepreneurship in the city. We've compiled all of those resources into one place. So check the show notes, check the link in the description.
Some men don't need to reinvent themselves. They just need to get back to the standard they already know they're built for. Manly Mojo is a premium men's grooming and wellness brand, starting with a complete beard routine kit. Beard oil, beard balm, and beard conditioner. It is made to help your beard look cleaner, feel softer, and stay better groomed. So when you step out with confidence. Because getting your mojo back can start with one simple routine. Look for Manly Mojo in the upcoming STL Hustle Insider directory with exclusive discounts coming soon. Or check the link in the show notes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of STL Hustle Insider. I am sitting with Mr. Mike Elliott. This gentleman is someone I got to know a couple years back, and we kind of fell out of touch. And then I bumped into him again doing some amazing things in the Ferguson community. And now we are actually at an event that him and his team throws.
Yes, sir.
I want you to tell everybody a little bit about this event that you guys do last Monday of the month.
Yeah, so Smooth 1432 is a men's group as well as a cornhole group. What we do, we create spaces for men to connect, have a safe space, talk, and obviously try something different. Like I said, a lot of us not playing cornhole.
That's right.
And so when I met Jay, he was playing, it got me interested.
Okay.
And together we created these events. And like I said, it's once a month. We come together, connecting in the community. Everybody's welcome. And it's something that, a space that I think we need to just be in.
Gotcha. And why is that so important to you to be a part of an organization or a community or a group that you guys have put together that is creating this safe space, right? What is the anchor that you are holding on to that makes you want to do this work? Because this work is, you got to kind of be called to this work, right?
Sure.
So how did you get involved?
So initially, my initial thing was to start a group and find community for myself.
Okay.
So we put in that I'm married. I'm working in an organization where I'm the only black male in my building. And it's been like that in IT for my whole career. So I've been looking for community.
Gotcha.
And so in the midst of that, we started a podcast, me and my brother Josh. And then, of course, I met Jay. He put us on with podcasting and cornhole.
Gotcha.
So from there, it was like, okay, hey, how can we make this a space for all of us?
Gotcha.
Along with the marriage piece of it. Because again, a lot of men are married and they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
They don't have a safe space or anybody to talk to outside their partner. And society tells us to, just, hey, keep pushing, keep going. And so I know I had a lot to say. I know other men as well.
Sure.
So it's like, hey, let's come together, let's bounce ideas, and let's have this space first.
I want you to speak to that only person that looks like you in the space that you spend the majority of your time in, right? Sometimes people don't see that as an issue. They don't see it as a stress trigger, but constantly having to pay attention to how you move in certain spaces and the pressure of, we've always been taught as black men, you got to be twice as good, to get half as much, and you're not afforded the ability to make the same mistakes as other people. Talk about the seriousness of that and how that plays into one's mental makeup and why groups are important for brothers like that.
Absolutely. I think that, I go in every day with a mask on, essentially. I'm being my authentic self, but it's also a version of myself that I've created to be in this space.
Gotcha.
With the way that I communicate, the way that I move, the way that, I work, everything. It's a constant, okay, well, I can't do this, or can I do this? Or, it's a trigger. So it's one of those things where, unfortunately, I've been used to it because of the work that I do.
Yeah.
But it's also draining and tiring.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I hear quotes and things all the time about when men get home, they need that extra 10, 15 minutes to sit in.
To decompress.
You know, yeah, you got to decompress. It's like,
you gotta sit in the driveway.
Got to sit in the
and
driveway.
shake this off before I go in and see the people I love.
Especially having young kids. I got 2 young daughters. So, you know, a wife and daughters. And then it's like, you know, as soon as you go in, it's like, go.
Yeah.
You know, and so for me, it's literally like a switch of like, okay, let me breathe. Let me go in and be husband. Let me go be dad.
Gotcha.
But again, creating spaces like this where it matters, where it's like, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
You know, I see my brother, he's going through some of the similar things that I'm going through. You know, we can relate. And hey, how did you go through this and how did you handle it? And vice versa. And I think that's the biggest thing is what we learning from each other.
I love it. Iron sharpens iron around here. You spoke about the marriage piece as well. I am in that space, married 25 years this year, and don't have a whole lot of married couples that I hang out with, right? And so to be in a part of a group like this where there is a large percentage of the men who are married and having the ability to be in a safe space to talk about relationship type deals and issues that you can't talk to a single person about. They don't get it, right? They don't understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So how has that been for you as a young married guy? You know, having this space and being around people who have been in the marriage game longer, some people shorter. So in some cases you are mentored, other cases you're being the mentor. And so how has that been for you?
So it's been interesting. My wife and I actually are celebrating 10 years next month.
Congrats.
Thank you. And so we got married younger. We've been together for 16 years. So,
gotcha.
You know, we literally grew up together, building the foundation.
Okay.
And even with that foundation, we was the first ones of our friends group that was married. So,
gotcha.
You know, the conversations were now different. You know, they're like, man. So now it's like, when I started, it was like, how you do this? And it was like, well, you know, you work, you communicate, and you just try to figure out what works.
Sure.
But I think the biggest thing is that a lot of people tell you to communicate. But at 20-something years old, you don't know what that means. You know,
you don't know how to communicate.
You don't know how, and then you've grown into a different person, both of you all,
that's
at the same time. So I think between figuring out how to communicate together, how to work together is the biggest thing, and then finding the balance with you being an individual, she's been an individual, and then we're coming together as a couple as well. And I think that one of the things I always look to do is seek knowledge from those who've been married longer. Hey, how did you do this at year 5, year 10, or whatever they say? And how do you work through your things? Only so I can take that knowledge, bring it back so we can be better.
I love it. So tell everybody again, how can they connect with the organization? You guys are doing great work with men, but also you have a young people's academy where you're working with kids in this space. How can they get in touch with you guys?
We are on Smooth 1432 on Instagram, pending Facebook and YouTube. But currently right now, me and my brother Josh have the 1432 podcast, which we initially started for, you know, married men to have those conversations. We're on Instagram as 1432 the podcast, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook.
Gotcha. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is STL Hustle Insider, where we bring you the people, the entrepreneurs, the businesses, the movements shaping St. Louis, and Smooth 1432 is one of those.
Wow, what an episode. Who would have predicted the game of cornhole making such an impact in the inner city of St. Louis? Before we get out of here, let's answer today's Inside STL Black History question. Earlier, we asked, what is the name of the St. Louis school widely recognized as the first high school for African Americans west of the Mississippi River? The answer is Sumner High School. Opened in 1875, Sumner became a landmark institution for Black education in St. Louis. Its legacy is not only in the students who walked its halls, but in what the school represented: access, excellence, and the belief that Black children deserved opportunity at the highest level. When we remember Sumner, we remember that education is community infrastructure. It is how a people protect memory, prepare leaders, and build futures. That's your Inside STL Black History moment for today. This Inside STL Black History moment is powered by iHustle Media Group, celebrating the institutions that help shape generations of St. Louis leaders. If your local business is struggling to turn online attention into leads and real opportunity for business growth, IHMG can help. Check the link in the show notes for more details. Welp, that's going to do it for this episode of STL Hustle Insider. Until next time, hustle up.